We talk about the deep state. We talk about the globalists. Inflation versus deflation.
Well, I mean,
Here at Mar-a-Lago. I'm baffled that this isn't front page news.
Do you guys support a specific political party, or do you dislike both of them?
Oh, it worked like a charm on you guys.
Let's go, Brandon.
Hell
Right,
yeah, baby. I haven't seen that shit in a minute.
I know. We got Cam here. So, guys, I originally set out to do a special episode tonight, which we're still going to do later, just exclusively talking about the Federal Reserve and who actually owns it. So stay tuned for that later. I pushed that back a little bit until 11:30 for the late night crew, but there just was too many things piling up today that it got ridiculous. I said, all right, we have to talk about this. I mean, is this mental illness or is this paid activists or both? So you've seen what's going on. Say there's white middle-aged women protesting in Vermont. There's James Carville coming out and saying that Trump is like suffering from syphilis and that's like impairing his judgment.
Oh my God.
There's a guy that's like crying his eyes out saying like why all kinds of crazy stuff. And Putin came out and dropped a figurative bomb today too. Man, dude. So how are you processing what went down yesterday and how people are reacting to it?
All right, first off, what's going on, chat? How you guys doing? Been a minute. Life's been lifing, but finally able to catch back up. Thanks for having me again on the podcast, Brand. Man, yesterday, I can't see what's going on in chat, so you'll have to interact a little more or tell me what's going on there.
Give you the ability to look if you want to on your phone.
Go
ahead, though.
Okay. Man. I think yesterday was, I mean, from on my end of things, it was fucking great. You know what I mean?
I was proud.
And I was like, this is what I'm fucking talking about. You know what I mean? This is what we voted for. And it's somebody to stand up for America, right? And it's a president that's gonna stand by our side, right? That's not gonna let, people walk all over us, right? And then, even the JD Vance, man, he gave him the little knife hand. It was fucking awesome. JD Vance steps in there, you know what I mean? He's like, hold on, Trump, I got this. You know what I mean? Like, let me get in there, right? I mean, and it's beautiful, right? Because we're not just seeing a president, we're seeing a vice president also stand up for America, right? I mean, for the last 4 years, I mean, Jesus, we had Kamala who, was just let Joe say whatever and was just a puppet, right? And now we have, a smart intellectual vice president that's getting in there. You know what I mean? That's not afraid to stand up, and he knows what he's talking about as well, And he's standing up for America with the president. And Zelensky stuttering, man. And, Trump even shoves him at one point, which is fucking great.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
What
I mean? And then, obviously he storms off, and then later on he's doing these interviews, and he was like, regardless of what happened, we're still grateful. Now he's saying fucking thank you, right? Because they fucking called him out.
It was Zelensky?
Yeah. There he tweeted out saying thank you. Again, I think he's butthurt, right? He just looked like a fucking clown to the world, right?
But you have some people processing it a different way. So
go ahead.
This is how Vermont's processing it.
He is recreating while thousands of people are losing their jobs, losing their health care, losing their funding.
This is a group of people who has always been supportive of standing with Ukraine. However, I think the performance at the White House has probably galvanized even more people to come out today.
After what he did yesterday.
Look at this thing real quick. So I stand for Ukraine, federal workers, LGBT humanity, and she wrote in national parks like off to the side because she forgot to fit that one in.
Christ. That's fucking stupid.
Then after the meeting yesterday with Zelensky, I feel like all of America should be out here protesting.
Is that right? So, I don't know, mental illness or paid protesters? Because
It's brainwashed, man.
Something over there?
What? No, sorry. I was
Watching
moving on.
hands clinking around.
Oh, okay, my bad. Here, go ahead. I was multitasking for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, I know we could all hear it, but so yeah, I mean, like, there's definitely paid protesters. I almost feel like it's dude, what are you guys doing? I feel like it's like the show Blacklist or something, where you like the farther you get into the show, like you see the levels and levels to this. Because I mean, in 2016, we would see these crazy protesters doing stuff, and you're incredibly noisy right now. Your background noises. We would see like these crazy protesters doing things, and you're like, wow, how could somebody actually think that? How could somebody actually, like, you know, where are all these signs coming from? Like, what do these people do during the day? How do they not have jobs? So, but I mean, it turns out that their job is to be a paid protester, because like there's a shit ton of money that's available for exactly this. I mean, like, what on earth would compel you to go out in the snow in Vermont and protest about Ukraine? Like all those people look like they're on the verge of Social Security age. Like, are you not pissed off that they are possibly stealing $1 trillion a year from us? Like, quite the contrary, they're pissed off that somebody's looking into it. So, I mean, it's like Stockholm syndrome, like cuck behavior to the highest magnitude. And I mean, it's, you know, the more you learn about hypnosis and psychology and everything, I guess it's not surprising, but it's like, it's just so bad that people could be brainwashed this easily.
Man, I think it's just brainwashing. I think there's a lot of, you know, we've kind of talked about this before when I've been on the channel before, and people just don't leave home, man. They're stuck there. They only know that one little town, right? They grew up in, you know, grew up in Vermont, a blue state, you know what I mean, forever blue, and these people don't see anything outside of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've never traveled outside the United States, right? And so for these people, it's, you know, some of it for sure. Some of it is, you know, paid protesters, right? There's funding. You know, these people, you know, and there's a right to protest, right? We're in a free country, right? And, you know, all that good stuff. And, you know, I'm for protest, you know what I mean? And it has its good and its bad, but it'd be bad if we couldn't protest at all, right?
You see this crying man?
Go ahead, put it now.
I don't give a fuck what he wears.
Oh God.
This man has been respectful to every leader in the world.
Oh God.
I thought he was trolling at first.
I was gonna say I hope he's fucking.
You clowns want to fucking do that shit to him when he comes over here, and then talk to him like shit.
Oh my
kick him out of the
God.
White House. Jeez. Disgraceful son of a bitch.
Oh my God. Oh God. It does. Never mind. Oh my God.
Man. I just want to be next to Zelensky right now.
Oh.
In what? Fucking fondle him?
Yeah.
I wish I could talk to him.
Talk to him. Oh, I can't believe this is real, dude. This can't be real.
Hot damn, man. I can't.
Hot damn. I mean, that's such a liberal thing, by the way, to like for your default to be to whip out your phone and cry in front of it. Like
oh my God, yeah, that's also the most cringiest thing people ever fucking do.
And then like even Lindsey Graham criticized this guy. Like he was his biggest fan at one point.
I want to tell you and your people, you're the ally I've been hoping for all my life. Not one American has died defending Ukraine. You've taken our weapons and you've kicked their ass. And I'm very proud to have you as our ally.
This is 2 weeks
I don't know
ago.
if we can ever do business with Zelensky again. I think most Americans saw a guy that they would not want to go in business with. The way he handled the meeting, the way he confronted the president was just over the top. So I think the relationship between Ukraine and America is important, vitally important. But can Zelensky do a deal with the United States? After what I saw, I don't know.
Like talk about a political animal that's like a political rat. This guy, you remember the show Prison Break? Cam. All right. Cam has left the chat. Oh, here we go. Did you watch that one? The one that I just showed?
Yeah, I was here.
Lindsey
Did you
Graham?
hear me?
Lindsey Graham? No, you were out for a second. But
Okay.
This dude reminds me of that guy in the show Prison Break. What was that guy's name that everybody hated? That was like the cockroach guy that he always almost died and then kind of saved himself.
To be quite honest, I don't think I ever watched Prison Break.
Oh, you didn't? I thought we talked about that one a lot.
No. So keep
okay,
going.
Interesting. No, but I mean, like this guy has no shame. Like he will say whatever he needs to say in the given moment. Like this is 2 weeks ago where he's saying this guy's his best friend and he's our best ally ever. And then yesterday he's like, I don't know if we could ever do business with Zelensky again. Like as if the world doesn't remember 2 weeks ago he was saying the best things about him.
No, that's the truth. That's the reality. People can barely even know what they did yesterday these days, man. It's crazy.
And then this one might have been the best one of them all. So this is you remember this guy? This guy was Clinton's campaign manager, and now he just like sits in his home in Louisiana and talks shit. It's like so bitter. Listen to what he says here. This one's a doozy.
What you saw is madness, and I don't mean madness like I'm mad at you, you mad at me. You didn't say this. I'm talking about madness like King George III kind of madness. And it could be a combination of being a fat fucking slob.
Jesus
Christ.
Bitter much?
Can't sleep at night.
Fucking salty.
Because his beached whale body can't allow the circulation. He's, I don't know. I'm not a sleep specialist. But I think we should revisit the possibility of a syphilis diagnosis. A lot of people that watch this channel, or some of you, or we get
how are you an LSU fan? You're talking like this, buddy.
Yeah.
Professionals that are getting the comments, and some of you just well-informed citizens. But I don't think we can discount the fact that what we saw was mad. I'm not going to concede that I'm just asking questions. I'm just making an observation that everyone saw. We know that boy ain't right.
I mean, talk about cuck behavior. Like what we saw was somebody trying to disrespect our country, and then for the first time ever, a president actually having a backbone and sticking up for it.
It was the most gangster shit ever. People are like, how could he do that? Like, why are you upset about finally a president sticking up for America? That refuses to get fucking used and bullied and have leeches on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's just a lot of people here who want to hate themselves and hate America and what it stands for. I mean, I don't know what's going on in New York here.
There was a stat that came out today that 3 years ago, 7% of Americans said that we were overpaying, and that has skyrocketed today to 41%. Right, and it's these little outliers. And listen, at the beginning of the war, was I 100% supporting? And me and you, I mean, I remember when the war first started was when you were first doing, TikTok, and we were rooting for fucking Ukraine 100%, right? And I remember early on, I said, if this doesn't fucking get fixed within the first year, it's gonna go in for the long haul, right? And if it's gonna go in for the long haul, that at first it is 100%, and we talked about this kind of a little bit earlier, where I said I get it, right? And in a military tactical perspective, is we are fighting our enemy without putting boots on the ground, right? We're giving them a lot of old resources. Our military resources are, bombs that might be outdated, things that are going to expire, right? So we kind of give them those things. We're filtering the bad and we're giving it to them, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about, 3 years now this shit's been going on? You know what I mean? And it has cost endless of lives. not just Ukrainian lives. I think people forget about this. So within the first couple months of the war starting, they actually started the Ukraine Foreign Legion, right? The French Foreign Legion is very famous. It's been around for many years, and it's pretty much taken in mercenaries and taken in anybody who wants to volunteer for the military. So
Yeah.
Ukraine got to a point very early on, within just a few couple months of the war starting, they started their own foreign legion, the Ukraine Foreign Legion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're on the military side of TikTok and the algorithms, and if you follow military pages and if you follow Instagram pages and the algorithms, you will see that there is Americans that have fought in this world, in this war. There is British, Europeans, people from all over the world have also joined up in forces and arms with Ukraine who have died. I believe within the first year, I think the first 10 months of the war, actually, the first Americans died at the Ukraine war, right? So you're not just talking about Ukrainian lives. You're talking about people from all over the world. American lives have also been lost within this, right? Now, yeah, they volunteered on their own and everything. Sure, they felt they call a call to duty and a call to serve, and that's amazing. But you're talking about a war that is senseless at this point, right? That it's been a back and forth stalemate, right? What Russia has taken some of the northern Ukraine, right? There's a couple cities it's just permanently taken. At one point, Ukraine was kind of pushing, but it's kind of like that stalemate, right? It's going back and forth. And at some point, you just gotta let it go, man. You gotta let it go. Take your losses, take your licks, and let's move on. Let's move on to peace. And I don't get why people, especially right, and maybe can tell me if I'm wrong, but usually Democratic people. Democrats talk about wanting peace, right?
They were the peace party at one point, but
Yeah,
not the case anymore. I mean, war was always a
exactly.
pretty bipartisan thing because both
Yeah.
sides win if there's death and destruction.
Yeah,
That's good for everybody in Congress.
but you have this whole peace talk, right, amongst a lot of people, and yet you have an opportunity for peace, but then you're praising Zelensky, and all Zelensky saying, "Hey, we need more. We want more. We need more resources.
Everything.
We need more. We need more everything." Right? So
Yeah,
then
we don't know have a good accounting for where it went.
Talk, right? That's not peace talks. And listen, I'm not a fan of fucking Russia by any fucking means, but at least the fucking Putin is trying to fucking be like, "Hey, dude, like we're down. We're done with this." Right? Like, hey, let's come to like a middle ground, right?
Did you see what he said today?
He literally just said, he goes, "We're willing to work with our U.S. partners and offer more rare minerals than Ukraine. We have way more." So you're talking about, here's Putin saying, "Hey, dude, we're done. You know what I mean? Hey, we'll help you out. We'll fucking start feeding you these resources that Ukraine was supposed to sign." And now, people are trying to flip it. Oh, you see, Trump's just in favor of Russia. He wants Russia. Hey, dude, it's not about who's who anymore, right? If we're supposed to be this one world, one peace thing, right? If nobody wants World War III, I don't think anybody fathoms it. How many lives would be lost? How many countries would be ruined if World War III popped off?
Yeah, probably all of them.
Yeah, like I literally just, these last couple of days I've been sick. I finished Band of Brothers and I was watching the Pacific, and I really sat there and I was just like, dude, like, thank God I wasn't part of a war like that myself, right? I like, maybe a few years ago I would have said, man, that's fucking awesome. I wish I was part of that war. But now, me having served, deployed everywhere now, you know what I mean? Where I'm at now, I'm older, and I'm like, man, thank God that I didn't have to go through any of that. Thank God nobody today has to go through any of that. And I mean, we're talking about an America that back in the day was calling Japanese people the yellow people, right? We're talking about an America, a total different America. And you're talking about today, people are in favor of another country continuing war. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, how do we go from like two extremes. You know what I mean?
Well, and Putin is far from the most evil person in the world. Like, I think he's like maybe like in the grand scheme of things, like if in the middle you were neutral, like he's like a little bit a touch to the right of neutral in like towards evil. Because I mean, there's just a case where 70 people had their heads chopped off in Africa because they were Christian, done by like ISIS rebels. So
I know.
you know, like the whole notion of people being outraged about Ukraine, people being outraged about Palestine, those two specifically, like I was laughing at people for being outraged about that because I'm like you guys aren't outraged about that happening. You're just outraged because it's being put in your face. Like crimes against humanity happen every single day. Like there's
all over the world
gallons of things you could be outraged about every single day, but you don't talk about it. It's just that what the media is feeding you.
Yep.
And
whatever's popular. I think and anything against Trump for the left is always going to be popular.
Yeah, because they have just been programmed to be that way. But I think Zelensky went to that meeting like dead set on sabotaging it because I imagine that he has stolen a good amount of money personally from the money that we gave to them because there's just too much money to keep track of. And there's several documented cases of corruption and embezzlement. And even this thing, Pandora Papers reveal offshore holdings of Ukrainian president and his inner circle. So it's like a whole thing about how they set up shell companies for but when he became president. So him and his inner circle, beneficiaries of a network of offshore companies, including some that own expensive London property. Then there's their top defense contractor in Ukraine is being investigated for embezzling. So I imagine that there's some blackmail that could be had on Zelensky that people might be putting pressure on him with, saying hey, if you want to keep the winnings that you were able to claw away from the war effort, then you better keep pushing for this thing because we know what you did and we want this thing to keep going. So Ukraine's anti-corruption office uncovers financial fraud scandal in the defense industry. So what are the odds that Zelensky didn't do anything corrupt with this, with this money that disappeared? He said only 75 billion made its way to Ukraine, out of all the money that was spent there. So
yeah, well, I just sent you on your on the text one of Ukrainian MP calls out for $1.5 billion being misplaced.
Being missing?
Huh?
Being missing?
Misplaced. Yeah, they're $1.5 billion. If the last video I sent you
in text, your audio is coming through a little weird, by the way.
You hear me now?
Still the same.
Not quite. Yeah,
a little better.
All right. So I sent it through text. $1.5 billion have been misplaced, and they're calling. It was right after this. They're literally calling for for Zelensky to get out. You know what I mean?
I have that one up right now. I'm looking for the one that you said 1.5 billion.
Yeah, it said it in the video that I had sent you. If I click on it, it takes me out of the chat.
Oh, got it. All right, let me grab that quick. So we gotta look up what Zelensky's net worth is too, because I mean,
pre-war and now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, let's run this quick. Quick ad. And then I have to show a video of what Zelensky was doing before this. 8-minute video.
Yeah, it says it quickly. It says it in the very beginning. Nope. You don't have to go too far deep into it.
Are we just reading here?
You definitely skipped it. I literally said.
I didn't know we were just reading.
No, I literally said it. Within the first couple minutes, it literally talked about it.
Okay, Ukrainian MP slams reckless leader, demands impeachment.
You're still skipping. If you don't skip, it plays within the first minute.
Okay. All right. After Oval Office fiasco, Zelensky faced ouster call at home. All right. Ukraine MP slams reckless leader, demands impeachment. This guy's about to get thrown in jail probably.
No, I mean
Ukraine MP leads charge to oust Zelensky after Trump debacle.
Is it maybe the news article that said it? Yeah.
From hero to zero, Zelensky's U.S. fiasco fuels calls for downfall.
Hold on, I think it's the next one.
The Ukrainian MP called for Zelensky's impeachment after Oval Office clash with Trump and Vance on February 28th. Alexander Dubinsky called Ukrainian's president action a diplomatic failure.
It might have been the article. I think it was the article I sent you on the Newsweek.
On Newsweek?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I got it. Russia claims NATO is plotting to oust Zelensky. All right, let's see. NATO member states are plotting to oust Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky from power by discrediting him and then holding elections to switch up leadership in the war-torn country. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service claimed on Monday. The SRV said NATO is guided by the uncertainty regarding the continuation of military aid to Kiev from the new U.S. administration led by President Trump. NATO hopes to freeze the conflict. However, Zelensky remains the main obstacle to the implementation of such a plan, it said. There is no indication that such a plan exists, according to who? Newsweek? Newsweek has contacted NATO and Ukraine Foreign Ministry for comment by email. All right, so like that's hilarious.
Go down. Literally,
their sources are NATO and Ukraine.
Yeah, go down.
Why it matters? Trump, what?
You can keep doing it. The next
sound like you're underwater. Why it matters? Trump, who entered office for a second term on January 20th, has vowed to bring a swift end to the war in anticipation growing for prospect peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. U.S. leaders threaten tariffs, blah, blah, blah. Zelensky has so far rejected Russia's demands that Ukraine concede its occupied territory and give up its aspirations to join NATO. What to know? NATO is increasingly thinking of a change in power in Ukraine. NATO is increasingly thinking of a change of power in Ukraine, the SRV press service said. The NATO military alliance intends to carry out a large-scale operation to discredit the Ukrainian president by accusing him of misappropriating more than $1.5 billion from funds allocated to the purchases of.
There it is.
Nice.
There it is.
Nice.
There it is.
Cool. Very nice. But it's funny because I wouldn't think that that's a crazy thing at all to actually believe. Like I think that they probably did steal a ton of money. Like how could you not?
I saw an article. I told you earlier, and I can't fucking find it, but there's an article that was talking about. It was like, here's Zelensky going saying that we need more resources and talking about how bad it is in Ukraine, and yet his wife's driving in some like Bugatti and in some mansion or some shit like that, which is insane.
Let's look at that next. I'm sure it's not hard to find. So Brussels is proceeding from the fact that Ukraine armed forces will very soon be unable to contain the growing onslaught of the Russian army. It said NATO intend to get rid of Zelensky by holding pseudo-democratic elections in Ukraine no later than this fall, SRV claimed. On Saturday, Keith Kellogg, Trump's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, told Reuters that Washington wants Kiev to hold elections by the end of the year, as most democratic nations have elections in their time of war. We actually had the guy on who's probably going to be the next president of Ukraine. We had him on a few weeks ago, and he was like Zelensky's top advisor, but then started disagreeing with him and got like exiled from the country. But he's super popular there.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I think it's good for democracy. That's the beauty of solid democracy, blah, blah, blah. Putin, meanwhile, claims Zelensky doesn't have the right to sign any documents, potential peace deals. He has lost it because the country has been able to carry out presidential elections due to the ongoing war. What people are saying, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service said Monday, even NATO understands the days expired. Zelensky, U.S. State Department, Rubio, we think that Putin did what Putin did was terrible, invading the country. The atrocities he's committed, he did horrible things, but what the dishonesty that exists is that we do somehow lead people to believe Ukraine will be able to push Russia back to what the world looked like in 2012 or 2014. Before
they got too much.
That's a strong statement. Zelensky saying that, or Rubio saying that they could push Russia back out of Crimea. That's not going to happen.
No, I mean that's what he's saying. It's not likely to happen to go back to a world where it was before 2012 and 14. Unlikely.
But with the dishonesty that exists, that somehow led people to believe that Ukraine would be able to. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, he's saying that's not going to happen. Like He's like trying to make it seem like he's gonna like win the war and get even more back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The reality of war is that it's not pretty, right? And I think what people forget to see, and I've seen multiple posts by multiple military, there has been multiple war crimes done by both Russia and Ukraine. Now, some of the stuff that fucking Ukraine did was justified. Sure, I get it. Your cities, your people have all died. And again, war is ugly. It's not pretty. You can't understand the shit unless you were in there, right? And I get it, right? The war crimes that happen from both sides. But you just gotta end the fucking thing, man. You gotta let it go. Cut your losses. At some point, you're just gonna get more people involved, man. And if NATO decides that they really want to get involved, it's just gonna get ugly. It's ugly for the world. It's not good. Just end the whole fucking thing and move on. And start rebuilding, honestly. Rebuilding is that's gonna take years.
So Zelensky's net worth, this is from Hinduism Times, so take it with a grain of salt. Zelensky has an estimated net worth of 30 million. Earlier, several users on social media and Russian misinformation campaigns made inflated claims that portrayed the Ukrainian president as a billionaire with assets exceeding $1 billion. Zelensky's success in the field of entertainment, where he worked for more than 20 years as an actor, comedian, and producer, is a major contributor to his wealth. He founded Kvartal 95 in 1997, a comedy group that grew into a major production company, blah, blah, blah. So actually, that's a good time to show one of the clips of Zelensky at his prior job that I saw kicking around today that puts things into perspective. Here we go. Let's check this out real quick. And
people want to say Trump is underqualified. Look at this.
You didn't see this one?
No. That's the face of Russia, right? I mean, of Ukraine, right there.
Why didn't his opponent just play this over and over and over again during the campaign? Those leather pants.
I don't fucking know. Jesus.
Ew. So yeah, that's
the face of Ukraine.
That's what we're dealing with. Yeah, that's the tough guy. So yeah, this thing seems like it's taking the side of those claims being exaggerated, but it's funny how when you type this in, look, I just said Zelensky net worth. Oh, why did I come up with Reddit? I didn't put Reddit. Zelensky net worth. Oh boy, the Economic Times. Let's see what they say. Net worth, education. Let's just see what they say quick. This shit's just buried in the thing.
Let's put up a little poll for chat. What are they thinking as far as? Do you think are they in favor of Trump's reaction, or are they against it? Which I know where
I know they'll be in favor of it. Maybe a better one is to say, are the protesters? Is it mental illness or is it paid protesters? Because I think that's like an actual interesting question. So let's see. I'll put that up quick. The Vermont protesters, the single white women that are probably childless. Let's see. Ukraine protesters. Mental illness. Option 1. Option 2. Paid protesters. And I know it could be both, but I don't even want to put both because I feel like I'm more curious to see like what side people are on, but just like between these two. So let's run that one. What do you think's gonna win?
Paid.
I think mental illness is gonna win.
Yeah.
Ooh, mental illness off to an early lead. All right. And then there was like these protests at the freaking what is it? At the Tesla shops today. And then you know what? They showed like an overhead view of what it actually looked like, and they're trying to like make it look all big and everything. Did so we just talked about Epstein a little bit, but did you see what General Comey said about Mike Flynn a couple of years ago?
No, but I just seen,
or not General Comey, the Director Comey.
No.
FBI Director Comey.
No, I just seen the old general though say a bunch of bullshit the other day too. Though, sorry, keep going.
No, so like this is dark. So remember Michael Flynn, the first guy who got arrested from the first Trump administration?
Yeah.
The 3-star general.
Yeah.
So look, this is a play-by-play of what happened to him and what they did. Like, look how dirty this is.
Imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration. In the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration, the protocol, 2 men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over. And so we placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure. Nobody else was there. They interviewed him in a conference room at the White House Situation Room, and he lied to them. And that's what he's now pled guilty to.
What did he think they were coming over there for?
I don't think he knew.
The crowd laughing.
No, we didn't tell him. Just said, we've got sending over a couple of agents. I want to ask you some questions. I didn't have this conversation. My deputy director did, but hope you got a few minutes. You can sit down and talk to them. And he said, sure.
And that's how he got put in jail. And he just simply didn't have the money to defend himself adequately. And they gave him the whole thing where, like, oh, if you plead guilty, then you do a short amount of time. But if you take your chances and don't plead guilty, then it could be a ton of time. So straight up entrapment. And, but I mean, luckily, Cash launched an investigation into this guy. And did you know that his daughter was the one that was handling the Ghislaine Maxwell investigation?
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, she looks like him with long hair, by the way. She's kind of busted, but yeah. So this might be the person who's holding up the documents and everything. So she works for the New York District Attorney's Office. What's up?
You had cut out. My fault.
No, yeah. So she might be one of the people that's holding up this information from coming out. So like, we got to talk about that in a second. But yeah, James Comey's daughter is a lead prosecutor in Ghislaine Maxwell's child sex trafficking case. Here's what to know about her. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell brought plenty of familiar faces, blah, blah, blah. One newcomer, 32-year-old Maureen Comey, the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey. Maureen Comey is one of the 3 lead prosecutors in the case against Ghislaine Maxwell, whose child sex trafficking case is scheduled to begin Monday. This is from 2021. Despite her father's history of dominating the news cycle, Maureen Comey has largely stayed out of the spotlight, instead maintaining a low-profile presence, taking on a major case, blah, blah, blah. So she works for the Comey is currently an assistant. Comey is currently an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. Now, why that's important is because that is exactly the unit that is holding up the Epstein file from being released.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Holy shit. And now Cash is running an investigation against her. So is she protecting Daddy?
I don't know. But there is definitely somebody or like a group of people at the Southern District of New York that do not want this list to come out. And dude, with these big movements, you're making a lot of noise. So
I'm not even moving. I'm literally sitting on the couch.
Maybe
maybe
undo the headphones or something. But
better.
Try a little bit.
Talking. Hello.
Yeah, much better. So,
Okay. Yeah.
Still a little bit, but anyway. So yesterday on Joe Rogan's podcast, maybe I could find a clip of this. I don't know if you saw him and Elon on there yet, but Elon straight up said that like there's powerful people on the list who don't want the list to be released, and those people include Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and what was the guy's name? Reid Hoffman. And
he just straight out said it.
Yeah. Let's see. Musk, Epstein list. And the fact that, so it's not the first time he said it, because he said it on Tucker also. Oh, here it is.
Convicted felon. And everybody knows what it is.
Yes.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying they could do it so brazenly to a guy who was the president for 4 years.
Right. That lawsuit was funded by Reid Hoffman, who is a major Dem donor. And also an Epstein client.
Oh.
The plot thickens.
The plot thickens. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
It's just, it's so blatant. It's like so obvious. The SpaceX lawsuit, the Trump stuff, it's so obvious.
Yes. Like known Epstein clients who are obviously extremely powerful, they're powerful politically and very wealthy, are Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Reid Hoffman. And some others too, but those three. So, why was Reid Hoffman so intent on destroying Trump?
You think it's because they're worried about the list coming out?
Yeah, one of the reasons.
Fuck yeah, it is.
So,
I mean, I'm like, this is, so.
It's so frustrating.
This was yesterday?
Yesterday. So the interesting thing about this is the fact that the lack of a response from them, because that's a pretty defamatory thing to say about somebody. And if, for him to say it and for them to not to have a response, which he said the same thing about Reid Hoffman, months ago on Tucker's podcast. Crickets, no response. I think he said the same thing about Gates too. So if somebody says that about you and you didn't do it, you're gonna sue them for defamation for saying that. But they didn't do that though. So just that on its own, that's a massive statement. The fact that they remained silent on that.
I did not know that.
If they sue him, then that opens them up to discovery, which is like a whole nother nightmare for them. Because then they have to prove that it is defamation.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is that we showed recently on the podcast that there's like a giant surge in Washington, D.C. of people who are looking up defense attorneys, like criminal defense attorneys. It's crazy, but there might be a surge in people looking up how to unalive themselves going in the few days and weeks going forward, because I don't know if they ever imagined that this thing would actually come out, but the question is who are the people that are still kind of trying to hold this thing? What's their incentive to hold on to it? The not low level, but mid-level people at the FBI and the Southern District in New York, what is their incentive to hold on to this thing and not let it come out? Is it blackmail? Is it bribery? Is it threats?
We kind of talked about this the other day when I called you, and I had told you how it's kind of upsetting how anticlimactic the first wave was, right? This whole phase one, because it really didn't give us a lot of information, right? I found
information was out.
It was already out. One of the things it had said was that Trump was seen there with his wife, his ex-wife, not Melania. It was the one before. And then he was there with his daughter, right? And then it's interesting to me because it's okay, we already knew that was public information, but phase one was so anticlimactic because why is that the only thing we got? So they're literally holding on to the real shit that they don't want out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. They gave 200 pages to the attorney general who said to give her everything. And then there's thousands of pages out there. They brought up a good point yesterday too. What is the chain of custody that happened with the stuff they found? Because, there's pictures of binders and evidence and safes and tapes with things written on them. Let's see. Epstein evidence. I'll look it up quick. Like there's a whole photo shoot of stuff that they found there that day that isn't accounted for in the stuff that we got. So
yeah,
I'm just super curious. Like, what is it that these here it is. What is it that these low-level people are afraid of, or these mid-level people are afraid of? You know, like, look at this, boxes and boxes and boxes of, like, imagine the sick, twisted shit. Like, look at those binders full of stuff.
Fucking insane, dude. And yet we don't have none of that.
No.
And yet we don't have none of that, which is insane. It is insane. It is insane that we don't have any of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, how much blackmail on how many people does he have, dude? You know what I mean?
Seems like
how,
all of them.
How long ago was this now? How long ago is this now?
What, that he got arrested?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was like right before COVID. Well, he got arrested twice, but I
want to say 2018, 2019. 2018, I'm more towards. Nah, probably 2019.
Let's see. Epstein arrest timeline. While that's generating, let's see where the poll's at. Whoa, 60-40 paid protesters winning. By the way, guys, hit that like button, vote on the poll. There's 200 people watching. There's 60 likes, so we're a little bit of a deficit there. So come on and hit that like button.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
There's a 2005, there's a 2006, 2008, then 2019 when he's arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey by the FBI, New York PD, crimes against children task force upon returning from Paris. Federal prosecutors in New York charge him with sex trafficking and conspiracy to traffic minors for sex. Alleging abuses from 2002, 2005 in New York and Florida. He pleads not guilty on July 8th and is denied bail on July 18th. August 10th, 2019, Epstein is found dead in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan.
Which is wild.
Let's see if it tells us the chain of custody. For evidence. So maybe this will shed some light on who exactly the units are, exactly who are holding on to this. And I mean, you know, what's interesting too is that, like in that Comey clip, he said how Michael Flynn, a 3-star general who was working for the president of the United States, went to jail for lying to the FBI. Then Pam Bondi, as Attorney General, is in charge of the FBI. Like the FBI reports to her, and then Kash Patel, obviously, directed the FBI. So if Michael Flynn goes to jail for lying to the FBI, during a casual interview at the White House, what happens to people who not only
openly
disobey a direct order from the Attorney General and the director of the FBI, but are withholding evidence?
Well, they're getting themselves in hot water, because if they're going to try to set an example of others, then they're setting themselves up to be able to be arrested for the same thing.
Yeah. Let's see. FBI and NordPD seizing computers, CDs, blah, blah, blah. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York oversaw the case.
Look at that shit. Look at that shit.
Yep. Post-death handling, FBI. I wonder when Comey's daughter started working for the SDNY. That'd be weird if she started working for it right when it happened.
Right in fucking 2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
Like June of 2019.
SDNY. And then what was I going to ask based off this? I heard I got to show something else from Michael Flynn. He put out this big time scary sounding threat to Comey and to other people. Maureen Comey, daughter of FBI Comey, began working as assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District, 2015. While exact dates vary.
January 2017. Oh no.
She graduated from law school after a clerkship, transitioned to SDNY, where she's since worked on high-profile cases, including those involving Epstein, Maxwell. Her tenure began before Donald Trump took office. Okay. I gotta find this Michael Flynn video of him calling out Comey. Michael Flynn, Comey.
And we got whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork, and we're funneling it into the right governmental offices to do the right things. And let me tell you, these people are busted. And so for Jim Comey, that's why I said earlier, Jim, if you get this message, start thinking about what you're gonna give up, because you're gonna give up some of your freedom, because you're gonna go to jail. You must go to jail because of what you did. But maybe they'll cut you a little bit of a deal, and they'll put you in a softer prison for a shorter period of time, because you're able to to give up some evidence on some of these other people who are even more deeper than you involved in this. Because Jim, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Oh.
We got whistleblowers.
See, like my thing is, I'm waiting. I just want this whole thing to explode in everybody's faces. I want them to bring down every scum of Earth that was involved with this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it's funny. People are more worried about fucking Zelensky's feeling than this shit. Like, this should be number one on everybody's radar. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, that would be a protest that I would be like, you know what, dude? Let's fucking go. I'll go fucking walk the streets.
Well,
you know what I mean?
All those people in New York should be protesting the Southern District of New York, the Southern District Attorneys in New York, for withholding evidence of a child sex trafficker.
That's
like what?
Wild.
That's who you're standing up for. You're choosing to stand up for Zelensky instead of standing up for children who have been sex trafficked.
Yep.
That's mental illness.
Yep.
I got another one here.
I knew that we had to fight through this, and it was not easy, but we were able to stand our ground. We figured out a way out of it. My case was dismissed by the government, by the Department of Justice, and and what they should have done was they should have killed me there, Jim. And I know that they considered it. And so by not doing that, they picked the wrong family to mess with. And I'm going to tell you, we are so tied into the government, particularly the government right now.
You said that James Comey should have killed you. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, these people, I know that they talk about these things. So there's a group of people that they discuss this, because it's like, what do we want to do? We can destroy this guy. And then all of a sudden I start to fight back. We started to fight back, and I completely changed my whole I changed my legal team. I changed our strategy, huge gamble. And we started to fight back. And when we did, we started winning. And then we eventually won. And I know that there are conversations, and primarily outside of the government, that says, what do we want to do about a guy like Flynn? What do they want to do about a guy like Trump? They tried to kill him twice. As a candidate. I mean, his life is always at risk. Those of us that are on the periphery, and not on the, it's sort of in a right in that outer circle periphery. And I'm not talking about way out on the edges. I'm talking about right there at the edge of that sort of inner circle, where we're still in there fighting it, mixing it up. These people they're scrambling. I mean, they know that they are busted. They're caught badly. Comey, he's just the beginning. I know.
So excited to see how that plays out.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to start getting ready for the next stream, which is going to be exclusively about the Federal Reserve. Do you have anything that you want to talk about quick that we missed, or should?
No, I mean, I think that was good. You know what I mean? I think again, I'll just express my frustration, which is, one, I hope people really, and I know the main, people who are loyal to the channel, they're on point with this, right? With it all being, should be in favor of Trump over Zelensky, but I really hope that there's more an awakening, and people start realizing that enough of the left and the right in your team and who you voted for, you know what I mean? And I think we should really, I wish we'd move on from that, you know what I mean? And I think I think we should, as a whole, should be more worried about being united, right? And in being united, I'm also talking about like, hey, let's put America first. You know what I mean? Let's start worrying about shit that's really important to us and that we really should be paying attention to, right? And one of these things is that we can't just keep funding other people's wars that doesn't involve us. And that we should have our focus on shit like this, that there is high evidence and there's known to be evidence on political associates and ex-politicians and government officials who were involved, you know, in this whole Epstein thing, and that we should be in uproar about this, about the Southern District not being, you know, cooperative and not wanting to release everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the shit we need to start worrying about. We need to start going more internally. We need to start worrying about America and getting to a better place, right? This last, you know, month now has been great. There's been a lot of things that, you know, I'm happy about, but there's still a lot, like, people posting that Zelensky's a fucking hero is crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, that's wild to me. And I just hope this whole Epstein thing, you know, people should be in an uproar that, you know, 2018 we're talking about, or 2019, right? We're talking about almost coming up on 6 years and we still don't know that list. Isn't that fucking wild? You know what I mean? Any other case in the world would have already been exploded, but this isn't. You know what I mean? So the common man would have been already exploited and it would have been front page news. But now there's potentially political and rich people fucking involved, and that's not important. We can't bring that out. You know what I mean? But we'll just end it at that. It's been a pleasure. It was great to kind of be back on the podcast with you, brother. I hope everybody's good, and God bless.
Yeah, bro, thanks for jumping on. Hope you feel better. Guys, we will have I'm gonna mute you now so I could send everybody to the next one. Thanks, bro. I'll talk to you later.
Take care.
All right, guys. So like I said, we're doing a special episode on the Federal Reserve. I have some crazy stuff to show you. It's going to be a long one. So, you know, if you're staying up late, then you got something to do. So this one's going to be a couple hours. We're starting at 11:30. If you can't stay up that late, then just watch it tomorrow. But it's going to be a good one. It's going to be the foundation of something we're going to be speaking about a lot over the next month or two. Exactly who controls the Federal Reserve, who owns the Federal Reserve, how it works, how it operates. We're going to learn from the master in just 30 minutes from now. So just go back to the channel. You'll see it. The thumbnail says, who owns the Federal Reserve, 11:30. Love you. I'll see you there. You know, we talk about the deep state. We talk about the globalists, inflation versus deflation.
Well, I mean,
Here at Mar-a-Lago.
I'm baffled that this isn't front page news.
Do you guys support a specific political party, or do you dislike both of them?
Oh, it worked like a charm on you guys.
Let's go, Brandon.